Mercedes-AMG has just revealed the most important car the brand has built in over a decade, and it is not what anyone expected. The new AMG GT 4 door coupe is fully electric. It uses a type of motor never before seen in a production EV, and it carries a number so large it almost sounds made up. 1,153 horsepower. That is the GT63 figure, and it comes from 3 axial flux motors, 2 at the rear axle and 1 at the front. Gone is the hand-built 4-liter twin-turbo V8 that defined every AMG 63 model for the past decade. In its place is something entirely different, and whether that excites or concerns you probably depends on how you feel about the future of performance cars. To understand why this matters, you have to go back a year. In the summer of last year, Mercedes took a prototype called the concept AMG GT20 to the Nardo test track in southern Italy, and it drove for 7 days and 13 hours without stopping. It covered over 24,000 miles at an average speed of 186 miles per hour, breaking 25 long-distance records in the process. The engineering that made that possible is now sitting underneath the production car, and that alone tells you how serious this project is. The powertrain is the centerpiece. Axial flux motors work differently from the permanent magnet motors found in most electric vehicles. Instead of the magnetic flux running perpendicular to the axis of rotation, it runs parallel, which means the motor components are arranged as thin discs rather than cylinders. The result is a motor that is dramatically more compact, roughly 3.5 inches wide at the front and just over 3 inches at each rear unit, but also capable of delivering higher continuous power and more repeatable performance. The front motor acts as a booster, engaging only when additional traction or power is needed and disconnecting entirely during steady-state cruising to reduce drag. The 2 rear motors handle the bulk of the driving, each paired with a compact planetary gearbox and cooled by oil in a shared housing. The technology comes from YASA, a British electric motor specialist that Mercedes-Benz acquired in 2021 specifically for this purpose. The GT63 produces 1,153 horsepower and 1,475 pound-feet of torque. Its continuous output, the figure that matters more for real-world driving, is 721 horsepower. That means this is not a car that hits its peak number for a few seconds and then fades. It can sustain serious performance over extended periods, which is exactly what Mercedes proved at Nardo. The GT55 starts at 805 horsepower and 1,328 pound-feet, with a continuous figure of 503 horsepower. Both models get the same 106 kilowatt-hour battery, the same 800-volt architecture, and the same 600 kilowatt peak DC charging capability. That charging figure needs its own conversation. 600 kilowatts means 10 to 80% state of charge in 11 minutes. In 10 minutes of charging, the car adds roughly 286 miles of WLTP range. There's currently almost no public infrastructure in the United States that can deliver 600 kilowatts, and that will take time to change. But the car is built for the network that is coming, not the one that exists today. When higher power stations roll out, this will be one of very few vehicles ready to take full advantage. The one area where the charging story falters is on the AC side. Mercedes has limited AC charging to 11 kilowatts. In a world where 22 kilowatt onboard chargers are becoming more common, and where many buyers will rely on home or destination charging for daily use, 11 kilowatts feels like an unnecessary restriction on a car at this price point. Mercedes has said their research shows customers in this segment do not regularly use 22 kilowatt AC stations, but that reasoning does not fully hold up. Overnight charging at home is a reality for most EV owners, and a faster onboard charger would have been a welcome addition. It is the one spec that feels like it belongs on a car from 3 years ago. The battery itself is a Formula 1 derived unit built with a new type of cylindrical cell. Each cell is 105 millimeters tall and 26 millimeters in diameter, housed in a laser-welded aluminum casing that is lighter and more thermally conductive than the steel housings used by most manufacturers. A direct oil cooling system surrounds each individual cell, maintaining temperatures within a narrow optimal window even under repeated hard acceleration and regenerative braking. The battery management system uses virtual sensors, mathematical models that calculate internal cell temperatures without physical probes, and the entire cooling architecture delivers at least 20 kilowatts of cooling capacity. roughly 3 to 4 times what a conventional battery cooling system provides. The design is going to be the most talked about element of this car, and it is worth addressing plainly. This does not look like any Mercedes that has come before. The front end carries a concave vertical slat grille that can be optionally illuminated, flanked by star-shaped daytime running lights and a full-width LED bar. The profile is long and low, sitting at just 55.6 inches tall despite the battery floor, which is actually 1.6 inches lower than the outgoing combustion car. The rear is the most dramatic departure, with 6 circular taillights in a turbine design, an active rear diffuser, and an optional illuminated light strip. Whether you find it striking or difficult to look at, it is unmistakably a car designed to stand apart. And it is fair to say that early reactions are sharply divided. The design language here is closer to the GT20X concept than to anything in the current Mercedes lineup, and that level of commitment is either brave or reckless depending on your perspective. Active aerodynamics play a significant role. 2 Venturi flow plates in the underbody deploy automatically at higher speeds to generate downforce through the Venturi effect, which is the acceleration of airflow through a narrowing channel to create low pressure underneath the car. The rear spoiler adjusts its angle across multiple positions depending on speed and driving dynamics, and active louvers in the front manage airflow to the cooling system in 9 stages. The result is a drag coefficient of 0.22, which is remarkably low for a car this size and this powerful. The overall length is 200.6 inches with a wheelbase of 119.7, which puts it firmly in Porsche Panamera territory rather than Taycan. The AMG Performance 4MATIC Plus all-wheel drive system distributes torque between the front and rear axles continuously, and torque vectoring between the 2 rear motors allows individual wheel control during cornering. The rear axle steering turns the rear wheels up to 6 degrees in the opposite direction below 50 miles per hour, shortening the effective wheelbase for agility, and up to 1 degree in the same direction above 50 miles per hour for stability. The air suspension is standard, with semi-active roll stabilization available on the GT63 that replaces conventional anti-roll bars with hydraulically interconnected dampers. Carbon ceramic brakes come as an option, with the front axle getting the carbon ceramic units and the rear running steel discs in a weight-optimized composite configuration. Inside, the cockpit is built around the driver. The seating position is deliberately low, and 3 displays stretch across the dashboard in a seamless glass design. The 10.2-inch instrument cluster and 14-inch multimedia screen merge into a single unit angled toward the driver, and a 14-inch passenger display is also available. Large turbine-style air vents in a chain-link design sit on either side and glow with the ambient lighting system at night. The center console houses 3 physical rotary controllers for the AMG Race Engineer system. Response controls throttle mapping, agility adjusts torque distribution for cornering behavior, and traction sets the slip threshold across 9 levels. These are the kind of controls that feel purposeful rather than decorative. The front seats come in 2 variants. The standard sport seats offer good lateral support with a more comfortable seating depth, while the optional performance seats add more aggressive bolstering and open-back design elements with galvanized trim inserts. For the way most buyers will use this car, the standard seats are the better choice. The rear accommodates 2 adults as standard, with foot garages cut into the battery floor to preserve legroom and knee angle. A 3-seat bench is optional, though the individual seats are the configuration that makes the most of the space. The boot holds 17.9 cubic feet with the liquid measurement, and the seatbacks fold to extend cargo capacity. A small frunk at the front adds 2.2 cubic feet, enough for a charging cable and not much else. The AMGFORCE Sport Plus mode deserves attention, even for skeptics. It takes more than 1,600 recorded sound files from an AMG GT R5.8, breaks them into granular loops, and remixes them in real time based on driving inputs. The system also simulates gear shifts with actual traction interruption, creating the sensation of a mechanical transmission. It is paired with a unique central tube driver display and tightened seatbelts during launch control. Whether the idea of synthetic V8 sound appeals to you or not, the execution is more sophisticated than anything attempted in this space before. 7 drive programs span from Eco, which limits power and locks the car into rear-wheel drive for maximum range, to Race, which unlocks the full Race Engineer suite and enables drift mode on closed circuits. A new boost function, activated by pulling both steering wheel paddles simultaneously, delivers up to 148 additional horsepower in the GT63 for short bursts. The car vibrates, the seatbelts tighten, and a unique sound signature announces the extra power. It is theatrical, but it works. Performance figures tell part of the story. The GT63 reaches 60 miles per hour from a standstill in 2.3 seconds and hits 124 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds. The top speed is 186 miles per hour with the driver's package. WLTP range sits between 370 and 433 miles depending on specification, with EPA figures still to come. The car weighs 5,423 pounds, which is substantial, but managed through the low center of gravity and the sophistication of the chassis systems. Pricing has not been announced for any market. The outgoing V8 powered GT63 SE performance starts at $200,500 in the United States, and the expectation is that the fully electric GT63 will land somewhere in the low $200,000 range, which would put it directly against the Porsche Taycan Turbo S at $221,400. The GT55 will arrive at US dealerships later this year, with the GT63 following in early 2027. What Mercedes-AMG has built here is a technology demonstrator that happens to be a production car. The axial flux motors, the F1 battery architecture, the 600 kilowatt charging capability, and the active aerodynamic systems represent engineering that will filter down to more affordable Mercedes models in the years ahead. Whether the design grows on buyers or remains a point of contention, the substance underneath it is difficult to argue against. This is AMG making a case that electric performance is not a compromise. It is an escalation. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. I read every single one, and don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified about my next upload. See you in the next video.